Hello everyone. In this video, I will be translating and summarizing the latest Urdu broadcast by Moeed Pirzada to make it accessible for our English-speaking audience. Let us go through the key developments and insights in Moeed Pirzada's words. I have been observing everything continuously, and I am faced with three fundamental types of questions. First and foremost is the major development you have already heard a lot about: news stories, podcasts, newspapers, regarding a lunch meeting between Pakistan's Army Chief General Munir, who has now assumed the title of Field Marshal, and United States President Donald Trump and his team. This meeting was held inside the cabinet room and was originally scheduled to last 1 hour, from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but went well beyond that. Inter-Services Public Relations has said the meeting lasted about 2 hours because it was highly important and there was considerable interest in it. Now, what was the net outcome of this meeting? You have heard various analyses, but when you listen to my analysis, perhaps you will begin to see things differently. We will discuss what this means for Pakistan, what it means from the American perspective, what it means for Iran, and what it means for India. In addition, the second major question is about Iran. Just 24 hours ago, Donald Trump made statements saying he was about to take a major decision as he returned from the G7 summit. He suggested he could attack Iran, or not attack. There was speculation something would happen within 24 hours, but now it appears there is a deadlock. It may take another 24 to 36 hours, or even several days before anything happens. Why is that? Israel appears exhausted. Of course, Iran has also suffered heavy damage. But Israel, without active American intervention, does not seem capable of making major moves. Still, there is a possibility that in desperation, Israel might make a move in the next 24 to 48 hours. Possibly even targeting Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. We will discuss why that could happen. Meanwhile, President Putin held a significant press conference in St. Petersburg, Russia's second most important city after Moscow, and made important observations on this matter, so we will get to that. But first, I request, if you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please do so. Turn on all notifications by clicking the bell icon. I've also created a WhatsApp channel for direct contact. The link is in the pinned tweet, description and end screen. Please join, it really helps. Now let us come to our main topic, the meeting between Pakistan's Army Chief Field Marshal Munir and United States President Donald Trump. In that meeting, Trump was joined by Steve Whitford, his envoy to the Middle East and a key player in the current Iran crisis. Marco Rubio, who not only serves as Secretary of State, but also holds an additional charge as National Security Advisor. On the Pakistani side, Director General ISI Asim Malik, who also holds National Security Advisor responsibilities, was present. You may have heard commentary from many podcasters, but I will lay out each of my observations clearly. First point, no detailed comment has been offered from the White House regarding this meeting. Only vague, misleading remarks have surfaced. Usually in the United States, such a meeting would result in a detailed 2,000 to 3,000 word story from the New York Times or Washington Post, sourced from insiders. But nothing like that has appeared yet, though we can expect one in the next 2 to 3 days. Once that comes out, we will know what agenda the American side presented, what Munir and his team said in response. Also note, this kind of meeting is largely about optics. This is the first time in American history that a sitting president has scheduled a formal lunch meeting with a foreign general who is not a head of state. This is highly unusual. The primary objective of this meeting was to send a message to the world, to Pakistani politics, to the United States Congress, and to all of us, that Donald Trump has accepted, legitimized, and approved General Munir and his regime. That is the principal essence of this meeting. Now, regarding Iran, Trump made some bizarre comments, as is typical for him. He said, "I am honored to meet General Munir," and thanked him for his courageous role in brokering the India-Pakistan ceasefire. He also called Pakistan a beautiful country, then quickly added that Narendra Modi is a fantastic guy, probably realizing the effect of his earlier statement on India. At the G7 summit, Trump had cut short his presence, saying he needed to make urgent decisions about Iran. Because of this, he did not get to meet Modi in person. However, on the morning of the Munir meeting, Trump had a 35-minute phone call with Modi. Indian sources say Modi stressed that no trade talks happened during the run-up to the ceasefire, and that the ceasefire was initiated at the request of the Pakistani Director General Military Operations. Still, Trump publicly repeated that he brokered the ceasefire and saved millions of lives. This suggests Trump dismissed Modi's explanation. India believes Trump tried to invite Modi to Washington for a face-to-face meeting with Awami Munir, which shows Trump does not think like a traditional decision-maker. That is not how statesmen function. Modi declined, citing a busy schedule, and instead invited Trump to visit India, which Trump apparently accepted. Later, the White House's Deputy Press Secretary, Anna Kelly, stated that Munir recommended that Trump be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize for his role in the India-Pakistan ceasefire. As we know, Trump has long desired the Peace Prize like Obama. He feels unrecognized and wants mainstream media, New York Times, Washington Post, The Economist, to write glowing features about his role. Pakistan's Inter-Services Public Relations claimed in the newspaper Dawn that the meeting also included discussion on bilateral trade, economic development and investments, minerals, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency. But this is clearly exaggerated. The main topic was Iran. Dawn later admitted that this meeting was not arranged through normal diplomatic channels like the United States State Department or Pakistani Foreign Office. Instead, it involved businessmen and Trump's personal contacts. In other words, lobbyists arranged it. Work on this meeting began as early as April 2025, the same period when Pakistan's military hired expensive new lobbying firms in Washington. Indian newspapers have widely reported on this, with headlines claiming the United States has asked Pakistan for military bases in Balochistan, which Pakistan has apparently accepted. Talks were held on mineral deals. General Munir allegedly requested India's help in resolving water issues, the Kashmir conflict, and to end warlike conditions. Some Indian reports even claim that Pakistan requested fifth or 5.5 generation fighter jets like the F-35 from the United States, though I highly doubt that to be true. It appears no one has a true insider view of the meeting yet, only speculation. One clear thing from Indian and American sources is that General Michael Kurilla, head of Central Command, has been continuously briefing Trump on Iran since April and was a key player behind this meeting. Trump administration sees a prolonged conflict with Iran. Pakistan, especially Balochistan, will play a key role. This is not a 1 week or 1 month conflict, it could last for months. As I hinted earlier, Michael Kurilla seems to have set the stage, and the United States has been planning how to corner Iran for months. This is reminiscent of 1991, when India offered the United States military bases to attack Taliban in Afghanistan, but the conclusion was, without Pakistan, it is not possible. Now again, the United States realizes if Iran is to be constrained or attacked, Pakistan's support is essential. But for the people of Pakistan, 99.99% of them, this is a morally conflicting situation. Using Pakistani soil and resources against a brotherly Muslim country like Iran is a painful situation. As I predicted in December 2024, and again in January, Trump ultimately follows the guidance of the CIA, Central Command, Pentagon, intelligence agencies, and State Department, ignoring all other factors. He has now done just that, handed legitimacy to General Awami Munir. As a result, Munir's position is now secured until at least 2027, and any democratic resistance within Pakistan has been severely weakened. This also means that political openings can emerge, because once you come into absolute power and gain trust, your priorities begin to change. Now, what would be the effects of this on Pakistani politics? One consequence of United States engagement in Pakistan is that General Awami Munir's regime will not restrict media space. It might actually expand it. Whenever the United States gets involved, the American administration expects you to be a bit more open-handed, allow democratic processes room, give the opposition some space, let the media operate freely. That means Twitter will stay open, crack down on YouTube, and other platforms may ease. It also implies that the space for Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf to operate, regardless of the results, will likely increase, including in media. If that does not happen tomorrow, you can blame me. But one potential outcome is that Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz and Pakistan People's Party have warmly welcomed General Awami Munir's meeting, like Khawaja Asif proudly tweeted. However, the reality is that from the viewpoint of Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, Pakistan People's Party, the Pakistani military, and General Awami Munir, their influence has actually decreased somewhat. In fact, because Imran Khan and Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf are still popular, their leverage has increased. It depends now on how Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf and Imran Khan study this whole transition and whether behind-the-scenes negotiations restart. I am sure they will restart. How they will modify terms and conditions remains to be seen. By now, they should clearly realize that General Asim Munir is not going anywhere before 2027, and any relief they receive will come only by accepting his conditions. Their real opponent in Pakistani politics, in principle, is Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, so how Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf repositions itself must become apparent in the coming days or weeks. Now there is another huge problem for Pakistani politics, for Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, and for all Pakistanis, that this regime in Pakistan contains Iran within this entire equation. Much like the mother of all problems, it works like the mother of all bombs. Iran is a central problem that affects this regime, the United States and Pakistan. One crucial point to note. If somewhere in your thoughts there is even an atomic molecule of the idea that America or Donald Trump might help Pakistan regarding Kashmir, the possibility is zero. India's position is very well defined and clear and has not moved even an inch. Nor can America strongly push on this without consequences. The result will likely be drawing the line of control into an actual international boundary, converting Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan into provinces, and having India formally absorb the Indian-administered side, as it already has, and no progress on Kashmir will be possible. That outcome is something Pakistan's current regime would not want to accept globally. Now, last thing on Trump, if he presses on the Indus Waters Treaty sincerely, and only puts pressure on India, then he could indeed help Pakistan. Turning back to the mother of all problems, it is less a matter of foreign policy than a domestic issue for Pakistan, what is happening between America, Iran and Israel. First, note that it is now day 6 in the back-and-forth strikes between Israel and Iran. A United States military strike on Iran, which seemed likely 24 hours ago, is now not expected in the next 24 to 48 hours. If it does happen, that is another matter, but it is not imminent. Let me explain why. We have seen significant damage inside Iran, though footage is limited, but Iran definitely suffered. Conversely, inside Israel, Iranian missiles have caused widespread structural damage, not just to the refinery in Haifa, but heavily impacting Tel Aviv. Images from Reuters and United States press show that structural damage in Israeli cities is unlike anything Israel has previously experienced. Over 6 days, Tel Aviv's population has had to stay in underground bunkers, far from their homes. The damage is considerable. Although Israeli Prime Minister emphasizes a hospital was hit, the real reason Iran targeted Tel Aviv was retaliation against Israeli military intelligence and technical complexes that are integrated into Tel Aviv's urban areas, similar to many major cities that embed such infrastructure into civilian spaces. Israeli sources say Iran launched approximately 400 ballistic missiles at Israel over 6 days. About 40 penetrated, the rest were intercepted by American air support and Israel's multi-layered defense, Arrow 3, Arrow 4, Iron Dome, David's Sling. That destruction we have seen comes from those 40 missiles. A crucial follow-up story. The war's future outcome hinges on how many interceptors Israel has left and how many ballistic missiles Iran still retains. Israeli defense sources indicate their interceptors are now finite, an unrivaled technology that neither Europe nor America can easily replicate, and their stocks are dwindling. Iran is estimated to still have 2,000 to 3,000 missiles. Thus, Israel is aiming to destroy Iran's missile launchers. But Iran's missiles are mobile and launchers keep moving. Plus, Iran's intelligence has effectively targeted Israeli spy networks in Iran, decimating personnel and centers. So Israel's struggle grows. Fewer interceptors mean less defense against future attacks, and Iran's warheads and launchers remain intact and operational. Iran is also apparently mutating its attacks to exhaust Israeli interceptors. Meanwhile, Russian President Putin, in a recent press conference in St. Petersburg, clarified key points. First, despite a defense agreement with Iran, Tehran has not requested a joint defense pact or any joint air force operations from Russia, meaning they are not dependent on Russians. When asked if the United States or Israel might use bunker-busting bombs on Iran's underground nuclear facilities in Fordow or Natanz, Putin emphasized that all outcomes must be carefully considered, what can be achieved and what has already been achieved. Russia's intelligence assessment suggests that these underground nuclear enrichment facilities have not suffered any serious damage from Israeli actions. This is very significant. Secondly, Putin noted that Iran's public has rallied around its own regime following the Israeli strikes, contrary to expectations of regime collapse. Instead, the public has become more unified in support. That means Israel's key objectives, regime change or public uprising, have not materialized. On speculation about bunker buster bombs, many narratives suggest America could drop 30,000-pound bombs from B-52s to destroy Fordow and Natanz. Yet neither Americans nor Israelis are 100% confident in these claims. That poses risk. If bombs are dropped and the underground facilities survive, what explanations will be presented to domestic and international audiences? What regional implications would that have? Israel has floated an alternate idea, a commando-style airstrike. Israeli planes, gunships and helicopters gain air superiority over a mile-long zone. Land commandos on the ground penetrate and destroy facilities with explosives. But that is likely a dramatic cinematic scenario. Real-world execution with constitutional military command present, it is doubtful Iran's under tight security. So such military options are unlikely viable. As far as Israel is concerned, most of their practical options are exhausted now, and they lack anything ideal unless they manage to neutralize leaders like Ali Khamenei or secure American intervention. There is another threat, the so-called E3. Britain, France, Germany remain continuously in touch with Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. On Friday in Geneva, E3 plus the European Union will meet with Iran's Araghchi. Trump has relegated responsibility to European diplomacy, but he demands guarantees from Iran's zero enrichment. That is, Iran must hand over its enriched uranium either to America or to Russia, per Russia's offer. Yet, Trump's demand for zero enrichment clashes with Iran's Supreme Leader Khamenei's insistence that such a demand violates Iran's sovereignty and that they must retain some level of enrichment, a very dangerous risk. Israel says Khamenei is responsible for the hospital strike, even though it was near a military complex and no casualties occurred. They may use that as a pretext to attempt to assassinate Khamenei, but that would provoke global condemnation. However, if such an act succeeds, zero enrichment demands would collapse and remaining Iranian leadership could negotiate with Europe, Russia and the United States. United States officials also say if the E3 diplomacy progresses further, Iran's negotiators could come to Washington to meet Trump's team. Steve Witkoff, who met General Asim Munir with Trump, has reportedly been in continuous phone contact with Araghchi since June 13, and a face-to-face meeting could happen soon. The key thing to factor in, inside America, this war is extremely unpopular. Trump faces massive pressure. Opposition isn't just from Democratic congressmen, senators or media, it's coming from within the Republican base tied to Make America Great Again. Prominent figures like Mike Pence, Steve Bannon, Candace Owens, Marjorie Taylor Greene have strongly opposed any escalation, presenting a serious headache for Trump. Conclusion: the US and Israel currently lack any ideal options for dealing with Iran's issues. Many proposed strategies have failed, and now their entire reliance rests on diplomacy, primarily via the EU's E3 plus EU negotiations and Russia. Israel appears exhausted militarily and might resort to assassinating Khamenei. Otherwise, they have no strong military options unless the US intervenes. All this means, as Narendra Modi says, that Operation Sindoor against Iran is not over, it's a held sword suspended. This military conflict involving the US and Israel will likely continue for several more months, and this sword will remain suspended over Iran and also over us in Pakistan. What role we end up playing is the outcome for now. That wraps up our translation of Moeed Pirzada's video. I hope this English version helped you understand his message better. Please like, share and subscribe to Awami Lens to help our community grow. Don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of this effort.